did a pretty good job explaining some of the different benefits that come with creating a path to citizenship for long-term undocumented residents, more specifically the different economic benefits that come with it. Right now, later on, I'll bring up some more points. I'll add on to those. However, I'd first like to start out with talking about exactly why we're introducing a change to the current policies. More specifically, because the current path to legalization for undocumented residents is very problematic. First and foremost, the current system for obtaining permanent residency is a very long and tedious process. There are three different routes that applicants can take to achieve permanent residency: employment, family reunification, or humanitarian protection. According to the American Immigration Council website, however, most of these unauthorized residents don't meet these necessary family or employment relationships and often don't have access to the humanitarian protection, such as refugee or asylum status. Because of these, many of the undocumented residents are left without any sort of legalization path to take, and yet still contribute to their local economies and communities with less than ideal rights, and have no way of contributing to them, because to change the current local economies and local communities, only U.S. citizens can vote in U.S. federal, state, and local elections, and only U.S. citizens can hold elected office. This is one of the main goals for these undocumented residents, to achieve U.S. citizenship. And as noted on the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services website, in order to apply for citizenship, one must be a green card holder for 5 years and have lived in the United States for at least 5 years. Well, the individuals we're advocating for on our affirmative side have lived in the United States for 5 or more years. However, most of them do not have green cards, thus being undocumented residents. So, for those that have been eligible to apply for permanent residency, Stephen Laddick, president of the American Immigration Lawyers Association, notes that even with careful preparation, delays are typical in the application process. Even before anything goes wrong, green card cases can take a very long time, mainly because of backlogs in the INS, the Immigration and Naturalization Service. Also, for those who can apply for permanent residency, it can be very costly for them. Romy Rubitsky of ABC News states that green card applicants may need legal representation to successfully get their application through the entire process. Most immigration lawyers charge between $5,000 to $7,500 to accompany a client through the green card process. Some cases can even cost closer to $15,000 before the application fees and any potentially family members being added to them. Also, Tanya Lee, a legal practitioner specializing in immigration and nationality law, states that for those who are eligible to apply for green cards, they have to meet a minimum of $450 for the green card application fee, and they have to renew this every 10 years. And since immigration filing fees have increased dramatically over recent years, they can definitely expect these costs to increase over time, almost certainly within the 10-year period before their green card expires. Because of this, most of these green card holders can expect paying hefty renewal fees 2, 3, 4, or even more times throughout their entire lifetime. Also, the current system is problematic because under the current system, the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, more commonly known as ICE, is unnecessarily strained. ICE's main objective is to enforce federal laws governing border control, customs, trade, immigration, and to promote homeland security and public safety. According to the White House correspondent from the Daily Caller, Alex Pfeiffer, ICE agents are overworked and are losing track of immigrants who actually pose national security threats. In an Inspector General report in the article mentioned before, the average workload for ICE officers in Washington, D.C. are responsible for 10,156 non-detained immigrants on average, while officers in Atlanta are responsible for 5,337 cases. In the same article, an unnamed ICE officer states that you can work up to 18 hours a day, but you still won't get caught up. With a path to citizenship in place, it would allow ICE agents to focus more specifically on individuals who do pose a national security threat to our country, rather than being bogged down by individuals who positively contribute to our local economies and our local communities. During the fiscal year 2016, ICE spent approximately $3.2 billion to identify, detain, and arrest and remove undocumented residents according to the Department of Homeland Security. Octavio Blanco of CNN Money states that each deportation conducted by ICE cost taxpayers on average $10,854 in the fiscal year 2016. So because of the current system, it is not only very costly for our local governments to deport these individuals, but it's also costly for the taxpayers. So the second claim I'd like to make, continuing on with the economic benefits my partner made, is that there are definitely many benefits that the economy can yield with a path to citizenship. With the system that implemented a more gradual path to citizenship, i.e. 10 years plus, the cumulative gain to the US GDP by 2022 would be very significant, around $832 billion. Annual increases in incomes of Americans would sum up to $470 billion over this 10-year period, and the economy would have, on average, of 121,000 more jobs per year. The income of unauthorized individuals would be 15.1% higher within 5 years. Because of their increased earnings, undocumented residents would be able to pay an additional $109 billion in taxes over this 10-year period. Also, by not implementing a path to citizenship, the US economy can actually be hurt. According to the White House, the US economy will lose some $80 billion in economic output by not implementing a path to citizenship for the estimated 11 million undocumented workers, according to Robert Lynch and Patrick Oakford of the Center for American Progress. Also, Cecilia Muniz and Gene Sperling of the National Archives and Records Administration state that compared to the benefits of citizenship, providing just legal status alone to currently undocumented workers would, over 10 years, result in $568 billion less in GDP for our country and $321 billion less in total income. An estimated 820,000 fewer jobs would be created, and federal and state governments would lose out on $75 billion in additional tax revenue.